Healing crystals, skincare routines, knitting a sweater, fitting in jeans. With Katie and Sarah, no need to worry, you're on a lady journey.
I don't know where we're at. But you know, let me tell you this. I want to go to Starbucks, as we do, and I want to get the latte, and then I want to go to I Crave It on the way back and get some of those pastries, like a little scone.
Those are really good.
They're way better than the Starbucks pastries.
They also have good chicken tenders there. They have good food. Though I don't get salads there because the guy I call it when they put too much dressing on. I'm like, you fucked me. You salad fucked me.
Salad fuck.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's soup. It's a ranch soup with 3 spinach leaves.
No, you don't want that.
Yeah.
But they had that juice bar though.
I love the juice
with that
bar.
place. I might get a juice.
Oh, I just went back into juicing.
I remember you were mentioning that.
So much celery. It's really
I love it.
a work to get a little bit out. But there's something about it when you get your juice. You're like, I am better than you.
I'm feeling so much better than
like,
everyone.
You feel like this is helping. And you're like, I don't know if it is, but I like the feeling that it gives me when
you're holding that juice and you're walking around. You're like, am I a fitness model? So out of my way, my juice.
I'm an influencer now. Because you're like, I'm getting so many nutrients. You don't understand how many nutrients I'm getting.
That's like the bougiest bodega I've ever, and that's why I love it though. Good. It's like, oh, I can get a juice, I can get chicken tenders, and I can get a scone. Who am I, a freaking queen of the world?
And they do gluten-free there. They give you a lot of options.
I think I might need to go gluten-free. I don't know if that's with my candida. Like something is weirdly happening where it's like when I eat sugar, when I eat.
Have you done Whole30? That thing, right? Isn't that thing where you don't eat anything and then you slowly put things back into your diet just to see if you're having? Because that's I'm like, maybe I have an gluten intolerance, but I have no idea because I just accept things.
I just make up my own symptoms. I have been eating sourdough, which is my gateway bread. That's my gateway bread where I'm like, I'm just going to have a little sourdough. And then like next thing you know, I'm eating like white flour from the bag.
I know. I didn't realize how great flour is.
No.
Yeah, I had taken a hiatus off of flour, but I'm back on and it's wonderful.
I do want to do the Whole30, and I was thinking about getting into it after our last session. I was like, I'm going to get into Whole30 and then I'll do that for the lady journey.
Yes.
But it's so hard because you cannot eat any grains, and that's tough. No grains, no rice. I'm like, I know rice doesn't mess me up. No, I don't have problems when I eat rice.
Doing a diet is horrific because like I'm still on the kick of like when I can try to be vegetarian, I do. But like I went to Aruba and I'm like, if I try to be vegetarian, all I would eat would be like coleslaw in that sad little cup that it comes in. Like, I can't.
They don't have that. Well, they don't grow anything on the island.
Yeah, there's no.
It's like, you're just.
It's like, what's your GDP here? It's aloe.
Aloe.
Yeah.
And cashews. And that's it. Yeah, I know. I had a tough time getting salads and stuff there too, which is why I recommend Eduardo's Smoothie Shack in my insanely amazing Aruba highlights.
Yes. Oh, Eduardo's. That guy must be like the billionaire of Aruba.
Oh, God. It's so good.
Yeah.
What'd you get there?
I was doing the acai bowl with the granola because I like getting the works. But then after a few days, we'd have breakfast, and Joe needs to consume like a shit ton of calories. I don't get it. Everyone's fascinated by it. So I would just get I think it was called Purple Rain smoothie.
Oh yeah.
So I just did a smoothie afterwards.
I would get the Island Power smoothie. Love it. So
and that's another one where you're like, am I better than everybody?
Excuse me, everyone. I'm having a smoothie. It was like spinach, pineapple, and like coconut.
Yes.
Ugh, so good.
And then, they're always like, do you want to sprinkle the coconut? And you're like, yeah, fuck yeah.
Of course.
Eduardo.
Sprinkle me.
Yeah. And they have like a really good bakery there too with like those like energy bites.
Little gluten. Yeah, little gluten pieces. They're so delicious. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to be like, the thing about dieting is I think I want to do Whole30 because I want to do what's right for my body. I want to make good choices, but it's so restrictive that I don't think that that's good for me mentally. It's not good for me mentally to be like, no, you don't eat that. You know,
that person.
Yeah, it like sends me on like a psycho spiral where it's like I can't be like living life like, no, that food's bad, this food is good. It's like, no, that's just an eating disorder like waiting to happen.
Yeah, I actually think we a lot, even men are getting into eating disorders where I'm like fasting
every year. Like, it's like a new fad eating disorder where it's like, oh, I haven't eaten in 8 days. It's my new thing.
And
it's
I
like
feel so light and I've come closer to God.
Yeah,
and you're like, well, of course you have. You're almost dead.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's like it's a thing where it's like there's just no research into it. So nobody actually knows like what we're really supposed to be eating because like 100 years ago we were eating like bread and we were dying at 40. And we were like,
oh my God, I love I used to work estate sales. I worked for this lady. She would go to estate sales and it was usually like old people going to an old folks home where they died and their families like get rid of everything. My favorite, I would just rummage through the magazines and then cookbooks, and to read the cookbooks from that time period, you're like, how are they? And they weren't fat.
Yeah.
They're just cooking with lard and heavy cream all the time. Yeah, and eating like ribeyes with butter on top of it.
Yeah, fat is good. Fat is good for you.
Yeah, and baked potatoes and all that stuff that you're just like, how insane that I feels like people were smaller back then than they are now.
Yeah, I think part of it is this like food is so processed, and it's like anything that's processed, which I don't eat a lot of processed food.
I try not to.
But also
it slips in.
Whoopsie. I like to be naughty about it.
Yeah. How did you get in here? Doritos.
Yeah,
and
but
I love hot dogs.
Do you?
Oh my God, I love them.
Oh no, but I saw a bad TikTok thing where they put a hot dog under the microscope and they were showing what was inside of it, and it was like little hairs and little dust, and I was like, never again until I feel like it.
Well, aren't we just all eating insect legs?
Aren't we all hot dogs? Aren't we all hot dogs?
We are all hot dogs.
I did eat have I talked about this on the podcast? I had grasshoppers.
No, but I've always wanted to try at least the chocolate covered. I'm sure what is it, like a nutty taste?
I had these ones at this place in the East Village called the Black Ant. So it's like this gorgeous kind of like South American vibe. They have margaritas, but they're like very high end. So it's like the passion fruit margaritas or whatever. And they had chili lime crickets. That's what it was. Chili lime crickets, and they were cooked with spices, and it was just delicious. They just serve it and you kind of have it like with some chips or whatever, and it was just like crispy, and it just tasted like crispy chicken skin.
I mean, how is that any different than just eating shrimp?
In my mind, it's no different at all. I thought it was.
Or like
I thought it was great.
Seeds.
And I would totally be open to like eating. The ones that you don't want to eat the pussy bugs. I think not to gross out the listeners, but you don't want the larva. Like those
egg
big
carrying sac.
Yeah, you don't want those like mealworms or whatever they are. The kind of bugs that they're eating in The Lion King.
Yeah,
those are the gross ones. The grubs. But like that's the kind of thing where it's like, oh, so it's not gross to be eating like the tongue of a cow.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, food culture is always weird.
Yes, I know that show where they would go around the world and like try to freak you out, and they're like, this is what they feed children here. And it's just like a goat eyeball.
But then it is fascinating when people are like, oh, I can't believe you eat this, and then you're like, well, we eat cow.
Yeah.
And they're so cute.
Yeah. I know. Sorry, cows.
Sorry, guys. That was a bummer.
Well, one thing I did stop eating, that was lady bummer.
Yeah.
I did stop eating octopus. I don't
eat
octopus
anymore.
Like
calamari, even though I know.
I think calamari is squid, isn't it?
Yeah, but I call it in the same.
But they're in the same family.
Are smart.
I saw something. I did see this on TikTok, so I don't know the scientific verification, but it was like
it's science.
TikTok is science and TikTok is news. TikTok is life. They're classified according to whatever I saw on TikTok. Again, no, this is not verified in any way, but it said that they're classified as sentient beings, and it's like they are one of the smartest. It's like I can't be eating. I mean, it's like a chicken.
They have feelings.
They have feelings. I can't. I can't eat it anymore.
I know. Apparently
Bacon is the lowest I'll go.
but that's sentient too.
Yeah, I mean they're smart.
Well,
Pigs are smart.
I think there was a new study or whatever saying most animals are sentient or have emotion. They do. Yeah.
Well, the thing about
at least
pigs,
mammal wise, I don't know about insect. Sometimes fish, I'm like, that's like pretty stupid.
Fish, I'm fine with eating.
Yes.
I love fish. They're my favorite animals. But I don't know. Have I ever said this on the podcast about when I was teaching preschool? And
you've mentioned, I think that you were, but I don't know what the story is.
Because the thing about bacon is that they're classified as 3-year-old children. And that was the age of children that I would teach. And they'd come in and they'd be like, last night I had a dream.
You're like, I can't eat you.
Yeah, I'm like holding like the cleaver. And they're like, Miss Katie, you're so beautiful. We had a lot of British children at that school for some reason. Miss Katie, I love you. And I'm like, well, I want bacon. So excuse me.
Get out of my way. I can't talk to you anymore.
It's just devastating.
I think one time Joe read that and he accidentally bumped the age up to 8. And people are like, saying that pigs had a reading level of 8-year-olds. And I'm like, can you check that out again? I don't know if they can read.
No, they can't. No, I think it's 3. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
They have the age range of 25-year-olds.
Yeah,
We're just
I know.
eating them.
We got to stop.
Yeah, they can do science.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my octopus. That's my octopus.
That's your stance.
My stance, yes.
Yes.
And welcome to Lady Journey, everybody. Welcome.
We're 11 minutes in.
We're 11 minutes in, and we want to welcome you and say thank you for listening. And please support us if you have a chance.
Anyway, emotionally or monetarily.
We have a Patreon. We have an Instagram. Algorithms. Give us a bump. We have a TikTok.
Yeah.
We have a blog.
We have a blog.
We have a life.
Yes.
We have a journey.
We're doing so much for you guys.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for supporting us. And I want to do a welcome to one of our new Patreon members.
Ooh.
We have a new Patreon member. And I want to give her a big shout out. And we have a new person who's commenting on our YouTube. Wow. This is a lot of YouTube comments.
Yeah, that one.
Wow.
I think
he's
helping with the algorithm, but there's part of me that's like, the calls coming inside the house.
I mean, that's a big one, huh? I cannot even find the new person. Here we go. Stacy. Thank you and welcome, Stacy.
Welcome,
Thank you so much for your patronage. And
your
thank
new
you,
Lady Journey.
Thank you. And thank you to the people who have been commenting on the YouTube. We appreciate it. And thank you for your subscription.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I have to say, a lot of times people might think that we don't. But believe me, we get alerts.
And
and I check them as part of my external validation. So I'm there.
I don't even need the alerts because I just check it every day. I check it every day. I say, where are we at? Where are we at?
Where are we at emotionally?
Yeah. And we lost a couple patrons, but then we gained a couple. So.
Hey, and we get it. You do your finances. You're on a financial lady journey and you realize, hey,
I need to pull back. And
you know what you can do instead? You can go to our YouTube and subscribe.
Give us a subscription.
Follow us on Instagram.
But we do have a $5 Patreon tier, and we're putting bonus episodes up now. So we're putting the bonus to the $5 tier.
Watch out.
Watch out. So what's your journey that you're on, Sarah?
Which one are we at?
I think
this one.
Yeah, let's do that one.
So I don't follow this journey a lot, but it is on my I don't know, dream board or whatever. I try to thrift.
Yeah.
I try to buy most of my clothes thrifting. But I have to say, I run into a dilemma when I'm thrifting. I generally think I'm choosing clothes I don't generally like, or it's too fashion trendy, that there are a lot of times where I usually give my thrift clothes away.
I have the same thing. And I was at a thrift store recently and I found this. I was like, oh my God, a neon orange jacket. When am I ever going to find this again? And it was like
a find.
It was a find. It was $30. It was like a nice brand. The brand was Scotch and Soda, I think, which I was like, that's a good brand. And then and then, it's like the longer you look at it, the more you're like, okay, it's a little dirty.
I can kind of
dirty
around like the sleeves.
Yeah, it's a little dirty. And then more and more, I'm like, this is not going to fit into my wardrobe. I don't have anything that goes with a neon orange jacket. And why would I get this? But I just get so sucked into, like, anytime I see a leather jacket, in my mind, like, leather means money.
You have to get it.
I'm like, yes. I gotta get it.
Yeah, and then I'm in that mindset of, like, I can always resell this, and then I don't. I'm looking at items right now that I can't resell.
Oh, yeah. Poshmark, like, tries to draw you in.
I do. You know what I do about Poshmark is usually I try to find, I have items that I like that are newish, and I try to find them on Poshmark at a discounted price.
That's what I did, yeah.
I've done that with loafers.
Yes.
Like there's Sam Edelman loafers that I wanted, but they were $100. I'm like, I'm sure someone's giving away those.
Yeah.
And they did. I found them for $20 and they were lightly used that I was like, it's worth it.
That's the best way to use Poshmark, I think, because it's like, as you guys know, I'm sure from my capsule wardrobe episode, I have been really trying to focus on maintaining a wardrobe that pieces fit. I don't have anything that's like some kind of wild neon jacket just hanging around in the back of the wardrobe that I'm never going to wear. But it really helps me have the discipline to be like, okay, if this isn't fitting in my wardrobe, I'm not spending the money. I'm not getting it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I would just go to like thrift stores and you're like, oh my God, like a silver sequin dress. Like, because you're like, oh, I think I like this. But then it's like liking something and liking the fabric of it. It's like, who doesn't love gold lame?
Yeah.
But yet, am I going to wear this to a work function? No.
Or I'll be like, oh, vintage tees. But then I just realize I'm kind of wearing shirts that look like they were found in a lost and found.
Yes.
That you're like, oh, I don't think this is the fashion. I think I missed it by a slight hair.
Yeah. You're going in thinking like, oh my God, I'm gonna look amazing, and then it's like, meanwhile, it's like Sarah looks like she's regressing.
I know. And I thrifted these old school Levi's, and they were expensive.
Ugh. Levi's are
$250.
So expensive.
And they fit well. And I was like, okay, I'll get them. They have ripped so poorly on the back of my leg.
No.
Because I guess it's been worn out. But I wore them the other day and I couldn't. Fortunately, I was throughout the apartment at the end. And then I was going to wear them on stage at night. I had like a lower butt cheek. Just a big rip.
Oh,
that
man.
You're like, it's not even cute.
That's a drafty one. Yeah, that's a butt cheek rip where you're like, are you okay?
Yeah,
Are you in a fight?
I'm like one of like the weird crazies at 34th Street that like they're like their ass is just hanging out of their pants. Like, so those are like I sometimes think I also end up spending more. Some thrift stores I'm like, all right, this is more. It says the label's H&M, and I truly believe you're selling this at a price higher than what H&M has been selling this.
Yeah.
That I was like, you can't do that.
I know. I feel like with thrift stores, it's like, what is your game? What is your game here? You're like having women in desperate straits bring their designer clothes. Yes. You're giving them a fraction of a cost, and then you're selling them for like way more than what they're even really worth just because it has like a DKNY label. Meanwhile, it's something from like 2002.
Yeah, or like from the DKNY outlet mall. So it's not even part of her actual fashion line.
Yeah.
Like that's another thing I found out about outlet. Did you know that stuff like Gap Outlet, they have stuff made solely for Gap Outlet and not Gap Store?
It's so sad.
It is, but I found some stuff that I have liked at outlets, but
you're like, I mean, like, I guess for basics, for like t-shirts or whatever, it's fine. But like anything that you like want to hang on to.
Yeah.
Like a dress, a nicer dress or something. It's like, oh, and it fell apart.
Yes. And then the other frustrating thing too, thrifting in New York is, I think, a huge ripoff.
The thing about thrifting
in
New York
is so
like
expensive.
Yeah, there's some good ones like Beacon's Closet in Brooklyn. Okay. If you ever come to New York and you go to that Beacon's Closet in Brooklyn, they've got some great stuff, and they have fines. And the thing about thrifting is that like if you're able to kind of toe the line of between treasure hunting and actually adding something useful to your wardrobe and not like coming home with like a weird pair of overalls or something. You're like, this is me now. You're like, you're like, is this me? Do I wear a multicolored jumpsuit? Like I almost bought, that the Obey posse. I almost bought a jumpsuit with that on it because I found it at the thrift store and it was like reasonable. And I was like, this could be like, should I just rebrand my entire personality?
That is exactly what happens in a thrift store for me. All of a sudden, I'm like, I'm a new person in here. I don't know who I really am, and it's time to figure out my costume for the week. It's like I lose all sense of reality in a thrift store. But the only finds I think that I've had success on at thrift stores is like decent pair of shoes.
Yeah.
And purses. Like sometimes
Shoes,
I can find
purses,
some fun bags and stuff like that.
But New York does have they have the Beacons is good. I will say on 26th Street, they've got a Buffalo Exchange. 26th Street in Manhattan, they've got a Buffalo Exchange and a Crossroads, and those are pretty good. But you'll be going around to Housing Works, for example, which is I
love how they curate their window design for the interior. Every time I walk by there, I'm like, I have to have that couch. But
I know it's like a full Keith Harington.
Yes.
Or Keith Haring.
Yeah, I don't know. The guy,
gosh.
Is
you know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
He's a street artist.
Yes. During the Basquiat years.
Yes.
Yes.
And they had a full furniture display. You're like, oh my God, is this $3,000? And it is.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, this is not a thrift store.
Yes. You're like, why am I paying full price for furniture that this is gross?
Yeah, because it's like, oh, well, it goes to help people who are suffering from AIDS.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, but I can't afford this. I'm at a thrift shop for a reason. It's because I can't afford to spend $99 on a dress. Yeah. And I used to work across the street from one. So I go every day. And that's the place where it's like, if you can go there every day, you might find something really incredible, like a gorgeous silk dress that you could have for years and years. And then it's like, okay, then maybe it's worth $50 if you're paying for a designer label.
Yeah. And it's like,
totally.
if it fits well, then I say get it. But most of the time I'm buying stuff that doesn't fit well.
Get the hell out of here. I'm paying I'm going to pay $200 for what? This sweater?
Yeah, with sweat stains in it.
Yeah.
Also I always am like, I'm going to redecorate my apartment with everything thrifted. It is so much work. So much work.
I went into a Salvation Army because I saw them doing it on TikTok. I was like, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna pick 3 pieces. I was in there. I was like, okay, I have a coffee mug. I could choose between a coffee mug and a picture of a baby lamb. Those are my choices. It's just so sparse.
Yes, and then they never have a company that can come deliver.
Oh, I know
furniture. So you're like, so I have to trek this along 23rd Street on the subway at usually rush hour, and then everybody hates you.
What's the worst thing you've ever taken on the subway?
I think I haven't had anything that bad. I one time did an IKEA haul from Red Hook, and I felt like that was pretty obnoxious, just things sticking out. But I've never been bold to take.
I did the same thing from IKEA, but it was a bed. I took a bed on the train. I had the mattress and my boyfriend had the frame, so we were just and he was a big guy. This was not Mike, obviously, who's a small guy, but he's very big as well. But this guy was huge. He was a 6'7" guy, and so we just kind of took it on. And I just remember just feeling the shame of people hating me for misusing the public transit.
Yeah, because sometimes I've been that way with bikes almost. I'm like, come on, dude.
You have a bike. Ride the bike.
Yeah.
Ride the bike.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
At least not during rush hour.
No. It's too much. But yeah, the thing about thrifting though, I totally get it, where it's you have this concept in your mind that you're like, oh, I'm just going to go in and I'll just spend $5 and I'll solve every home problem I've ever had. And meanwhile, then you're trying to nail together something. You're like, oh, I can't sand.
Yeah.
I can't sand stuff down.
No.
That's not an option for me.
Where can I actually sand stuff down in my apartment? Nor, I don't think my landlord would appreciate it. I'm just woodworking out in the backyard.
Yeah. Well, I have the same problem too. My problem is clearance shops like Nordstrom Rack.
I love Marshalls.
Marshalls, where I'll go in and I'll find something, or like TJ Maxx, like the TJ Maxx in Chelsea, like that they have like designer stuff there. Well, I'll go and I'll find something that it's like, okay, this is designer. It's way discounted. And then my poor brain is like, that means I have to squirrel it away in my home.
Yes.
And then meanwhile, I get it back and I'm like, I have like a loud floral print. I'm like, this is why I would never wear this anywhere. I can't pull this off. Or, you know, just like something like Calvin Klein, like a pantsuit. It's like, I'm not wearing a pantsuit. So I just have to be so careful. And I have about an hour. I can go shopping for like an hour. And at that point, my critical thinking goes way, it just takes a nosedive. And then I just come out and I'm like, I've got like a Live, Laugh, Love sweatshirt. And I'm like, isn't this what people are wearing?
I know. It's almost like, I just picture you showing up to an event being like this. I'm sorry, I spent over an hour in TJ Maxx and I panicked.
I'm wearing like a scarf. I'm wearing like a poncho of some kind. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I mostly just really do shop online now. Even when I do like the thrifting, like Poshmark, because I can search for stuff where I'm like, I got that skull cashmere that was $50. That's like a nice designer label. I knew I wanted it, so I could just go in and be like, I want a skull cashmere sweater. Yeah. And then find a reasonable one and be like, okay, great. This is a good addition to my wardrobe. It matches. Because other than that, like, I can't even be like, even scrolling on there, I'll be like, oh, I just bought an amazing dress. And it's like, this is a bridesmaid's dress.
Yes, that's what I think I have one of those in there that I'm like, I think this is a bridesmaid's dress.
Yeah, because people are like, slip dresses are coming back. It's like,
this is a bridesmaid's dress. Yes. Sometimes also, too, on Poshmark, I'm like, is this just like one of those weird Asian markets that said that this is Poshmark or a thrift, but it's really I'm just buying like cheap Chinese shit again?
Yeah, you have to watch out for those.
Yeah, that would be like that on Craigslist with looking for stuff. Then all of a sudden I'm like, well, this doesn't. I actually feel it. Oh no, Facebook Marketplace is like that. Yeah,
Etsy's like it too, where it's like,
I got tricked.
Yeah, you're like, oh wow, I'm getting like a 5-piece silk pajama outfit, and then it comes and it's like this big. You're like, this is really small.
I bought a shirt off of the Instagram algorithm. I think we mentioned it.
Oh, yeah.
It was so cheap.
Yeah.
Yes. Where you're like, I will never buy from a place like that. I have to know at least the brand or familiar with the
I always
company.
Google it. I always Google, like, is it a scam? And then you get, like, these hilarious wild photos of being like, well, my shirt is a trash bag, apparently. It's like they're just like sending people like a skirt made of like just like a, you know, whatever that plastic is.
Yeah,
where they
like
drop cloths.
Yes, like what they kind of just do a mock up for a garment before they actually make it.
It's a good scam. It's actually a pretty good scam.
There's one. I used to work at this. I temped at Chouse, which is like a clothing. They also do Vince Camuto. A huge brand, but every once a year they did a like, come get all of our sample sale.
I love a sample sale.
I was like, it was their mock-ups.
Oh, wow.
I was kind of really grossed out about it.
That's so seedy.
There would be like safety pins still in their shit. But I was like, I can't believe you guys are
I do love a sample sale, though. It triggers something in me, like my gathering. Yes. It like goes back to like the gathering brain where I'm like, must get socks.
That's so fascinating that you mentioned that, because I was thinking recently, you know how people take photos when they go hunting? That's what we're doing on TikTok for the like TJ Maxx haul.
Yes.
That's us gathering.
We are.
That's us
hard.
gathering.
It's hard to get away from that impulse. Where it's like, I want to hoard necklaces.
I just picture you as a cave woman, like, I brought this berry back because I don't know. It was just like by itself.
I don't love it, but I don't hate it. But I could take it back tomorrow. If no one wants it, I will take it back.
What do you guys think about this plant I found out there?
Yeah, my husband's like, ugh. I'm like, he's stressed.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's probably how it was in caveman times. Women were probably like so much more advanced. We're like, I wrote a poem. Their husband's just like hitting his fist on the ground.
Yeah. Just, like lightly raping us.
Women's month. Actually, it isn't by the time this episode gets released.
Anyway, all right. So that's my journey. Just be careful when you're thrifting. Really check in with yourself mentally.
Yeah, that's the thing. You have to do it because it's like you're not doing the environment any good if you're buying like 18 pairs of jeans. 18 pairs of jeans that you'll never wear.
Yeah.
But
which
yeah,
I do have. That's my the journey of pants. I can't find pants.
It's hard.
Yeah.
My one pair of pants that I love is the Levi's 501 jeans. I want every pair of pants in that. And I'm kind of done with my skinny jeans now, where I'm like I've shifted away. I'm just
straight
wearing
leg.
them. Yeah, I just go straight leg. But the Levi's 501, I'm like, yes, I am a new person. I'm in the vibe shift.
Yes,
I've
my
shifted,
look.
and I'm a new me. But my journey that I'm going on, I'm excited to share is, so I've been reading Atomic Habits, which was recommended me by...
Never heard, but now I'm fascinated.
It's so good. It's all about this guy. He's just like a kind of business guy, entrepreneur, but he was in a horrific car accident where he almost died. Or no, he wasn't in a car accident. He was in a baseball accident, which is so different than a car. So I'm so sorry to misinform you guys. It was like a car, but smaller.
What's a baseball accident? Like a ball going to his head really fast?
Yeah, like one of the other kids, he was in high school, and the kid was taking a swing with the bat, and he accidentally let go, and it smashed into his face.
God.
So he had to go. He was on life support. He was in a coma, but as part of his recovery as a young person, he gave himself a lot of structure in his life. And so that kind of led to like his development of this lifestyle where he's like very into exploring how habits are formed. And on top of that, he did a lot of blogging research, and this is kind of like the culmination of it. So it's a really great read. And I have to say, one of the things that really just grinds my gears about these self-help books, and we've talked about this before, is like a long story.
And that person was me.
Yeah. It's like, and Miriam was a sad woman, and it's just like this, and you're like, just give me the info.
Yeah.
Take out the story. And, meanwhile, the book's like 600 pages. It's like, just give me the info. So he does not do that a lot in this book.
Great.
So it's a lot of just facts. And it's a lot of really careful examination of how habits form and how you can break bad habits. And one of the things is like, he talks about cues, creating a cue where it's like, creating a specific intention, like, okay, on Mondays after lunch, I always do this.
Yeah.
Creating a routine that you can always follow. And I've kind of done some of that organically just with like my own writing process and thinking of like ways that I need to be consistent with my writing, just to like develop as a comedian. So I've kind of, it's interesting to be like, oh, okay, I've done that organically, or, maybe this is like a way that I can continue to improve my good habits. But sometimes also I get a little frustrated reading these books though, because he'll be like, hey, maybe that's how you could stop watching TV every day. It's like, yeah, that's not my problem. Okay. I'm like trying to be a successful businesswoman here. I don't have an issue that I just like watch TV for 6 hours a night.
Yeah.
Or it's like, hey, maybe you could stop eating chocolate after every meal. It's like, yeah, that's not what we're really doing. That's not what we're working with here.
No, I've had that sometimes where you're like, yeah, this doesn't really cater into the world that for kind of stand up. I've had that, yeah.
Right. Where it's like, but I think I'm trying to not let that ruin it for me, where it's like, well, let me take what's helpful.
Yes. I would say that with each book or whatever is, you don't have to follow the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's just, you take what you like from it.
Yeah. But one thing I'm taking from this, which I'll just break down quickly, is called habit stacking. So it's like, instead of being like, well, I want to write every day, it's like, just take all the things that you want to do and be like, first I do my writing session, then I do my screenwriting session, then I do my workout, then I have my health shake, So it's like, I just do these 4 things in the same row every single day. And then you just get used to doing that same thing. And it's kind of what I was doing a little bit without realizing it, just because I love the feeling of freedom that you have from a routine, because it just takes the pressure off of like
thinking.
You don't have to think like
structure.
What comes next, know? Like you're like, oh, I always do this, and there's something kind of soothing about that.
Yeah, I like structure and routine, but then what ends up happening is that I feel when it's broken because of like a trip, or like something came up, there's a feeling of shame I get from breaking it.
Yeah.
And I feel like once it's broken, or like the day I didn't do it, then all hell is going to break loose.
Something bad is going to happen.
Yes. Or no, just that, like, more on the fact of, like, this is why you're not making it, or, you know, like, I'm really harsh on myself for that.
I feel that too, and I think it's kind of hard to, like, reconcile it with the freelancing schedule. Like, if you, for example, have, like, a 9 to 5, it's like, okay, it's really easy to be like, this is my morning routine, and I get up. But it's like, for example, if you're, like, doing auditions, or if you are doing podcasts, or if you're like, I'm doing different things every single day, and then things come up and they get in the way of your routine, then it's like, okay, it's really hard to be consistent with it. So I guess that's kind of what I'm struggling with now, where it's like, I want to do this writing routine because as my comedy album out now has been released, now it's time for me to write more. But
you got to make another
it's like
hour.
I can't do a 2-hour writing routine every single morning when I wake up if 5 of those mornings I have to be somewhere.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, no, it's like a frustrating ordeal. There's one, I don't know, I feel like it feels like it came from this book, but this is one thing I read somewhere online, of course, where I get all my information.
Yes.
Is like when I quit smoking, I joined a gym that I've heard instead of reward yourself, like if you buy yourself like instead of like buy yourself something that helps you get to that goal. So like say maybe like for you, like buying new pens and pencils or a new notebook, or like for me it was like, I'm gonna just buy some more to get some workout gear.
Yes.
So to be rewarding myself that also is towards the goal.
That's great.
Yeah, rather than like I'm gonna eat cake.
I'm off the damn rails now. Well, I'm thinking I'm really trying to do something like that's like a little bit less of a thing where it's like either I have this 4-hour session or I have nothing, you know, where it's like, what if I can kind of create like space and time in my day for a 1-hour writing session, and it doesn't necessarily matter when I do it, but I just sit down and do it.
Yeah.
So I'm reading this great book right now called The Coffee Break Screenwriter, and it supposedly helps you to conceptualize and write a full movie in only 10 to 15 minutes a day.
I like that.
So it's like, as long as you can consistently do it, you know, if it was like, and that's the problem right now is I'm having a hard time I'm trying to stack it with some other stuff, but it's like, if I could just make this like the one thing I do immediately when I wake up, you know, then I could do it consistently. And it's like, 15 minutes every day for a full year, like that's a lot of time. That's way more than like 4 hours one Saturday a month that you're like just throwing yourself into it, and you're like, that was weird, I didn't make any progress.
I always think about that too, of like, a year is a long time to work on something, but it's a short time in your life.
Yeah.
Meaning like, so what if it takes you a year?
Yeah.
Like to everybody else, they think that you did it overnight.
Yeah, totally. And I was thinking about that with stand-up too, where it's like, you know, instead of maybe like performing every single night, like what if I just take a week off, just totally do nothing, and then I'll feel more creative. I won't feel like burnt down, run down, and then I'll go back and I'll have new jokes, and then those people will not even notice that I took a week off. It could be a month. It could be 3 months. And I think that's how, you know, especially when you freelance, you have this pressure to be like grinding and doing things every day. And it's like, you actually don't need to do it every day in I think like certain contexts, consistency is important, like social media right now.
Yeah. There's been not the trap, but I've had this like, whatever happened to that guy? I think he quit. And then the next thing you know, he sold 3 movies.
Yeah.
Because
you're like, he was just over there.
he was not on my site. And
Yeah.
I just assumed he was gone. It just shows you that like, and I'm just thinking about like thinking what other people think. Like nobody knows what you're up to.
Nobody knows what you're up to. And they also kind of don't really care. No one's like, oh, Sarah quit.
Yeah.
They're
just like, they won't even know that. Nobody's going to know that I quit.
Yeah.
I could just, because there's tons of people, and I've learned that as the time goes by, I've seen plenty of comics take quite a bit of time off.
Yeah.
And bounce back quite nicely.
Just bounce back. And, you know, people do it like regularly too.
Yeah.
Or, you know, even like having a day job, or like, you know, I think about that sometimes where it's like, maybe it's time for me to go back to a day job instead of being like sitting in a darkened room.
I've had that
demanding that I write topical jokes.
Come on, come on. It's because there is something that I look fondly in I do romanticize it being like, it's nice to just go back to a job.
Where you have like a thing where you're like, oh, I know what I'm going to do every day. And there's no pressure on me to have like a tweet that goes viral. Otherwise, I don't feel good about myself. It's like if you're just like folding clothes, you know, and I'm talking about like a job that's like something pretty low stress.
Yes.
Low stress and low income. So
like any temp job that I would do, there was always a feeling that I had afterwards of like, oh, I felt pretty good.
Yeah,
like I
was
woke
just
up
productive.
Early in the morning, I did 8 hours of work and sometimes it was I'm just pinning.
Yeah. That's
but
great.
like I could write and then you take like maybe like an online college course.
Great.
Easy breezy.
Great.
Yeah. But yeah, like I was trying to do, because I was in that mindset of like, I'll just do a little bit of a day. And then I tell my manager, and then she's like, well, what you really need to do is just like watch a ton of movies. And then I just stopped writing. And I haven't even had a chance to watch a 90-minute feature that I'm like, was that good advice?
I think like.
Was that good?
I think that like immersion is good advice sometimes, but it's like when you're coming from a place of burnout, I don't think it's the best advice because it's like, oh, okay, well, now I can't even just start. Now I have to. Because when you get into a place mentally where you're tired and you're kind of run down, you don't have that clarity of being like, why don't I just work on this 15 minutes a day?
Yeah, that's like
just work on
manageable.
Or read one script a week or something instead of being like, I need to watch movies 8 hours every day. I
know. Well, it also leads me into thinking, hey, don't tell people what you're working on for a while.
Yeah, seriously.
Because people, I don't know if they do it intentionally.
Yeah.
But they will really put you on a detour or like be like, oh, you don't really want to do that. Who wants to buy that? Blah, blah, blah. I've heard that so many times and I'm always like, I regret. Or you tell them your idea and then they kind of force their idea into yours.
Never tell people what you're working on, especially if it's like a creative project or like a creative risk that you're thinking about, because immediately whatever you say, people are going to have their own experience that has everything to do with them, nothing to do with you. Like if you're thinking of like trying out stand-up or something, do not tell a single friend.
Just
literally don't. Because especially if you're like, you know, older, say if you're anything other than the age of like 22, you know, people are gonna be like, why would you do that? Or like, I want to do stand, you know. It's just like everyone is always kind of going with their own issues and it just ruins it.
Yeah, they suck.
And they suck. Your friends and family suck. We are here for you, they are not.
Well, that's what I was joking about recently with like joining a cult. They're like, they separate you from your friends and family. I'm like, that sounds amazing. Because I'm like, your friends and family can be some of the worst people in your life, and not intentionally. As you said, they just project their own shit and they really then you're like, oh, maybe that was dumb, and you might have had one of the best ideas out there.
Yeah. I'm really working on that with myself right now because I do have an idea for a screenplay, and being someone who is desperately seeking affirmation at all times, it's very hard for me to not at least tell like Mike, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm not telling him because I just don't. Once you put that idea out there, it never seems the same as if you just kept it inside as a secret, you know? It's like you just let it grow. Protect it like a little baby that's inside of your womb. Women's Month. Women's Month was every month is Women's Month.
I fully agree. Like, protect your idea.
Protect it. Yeah.
Don't tell a soul
until
it's dead.
Tell us,
I mean, not dead.
I like it. You're like, let your idea shrivel and die in your mind. No, tell us your idea. Email it to us at ladyjourneypodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
We'll support it.
Dude, there's been dumber shit that has made it out there. Like, your mind will be blown. That's my mindset too, is like, let me put my dog shit out there.
Oh,
I'm
please.
watching other people put their dog shit out there. Let me get my dog shit out there.
Get it out there and believe in it and sell it.
Yes.
And we believe in you. And so as a reminder, Lady Journey Podcast, we're all over the internet. Follow us on Instagram. If you follow us and you have a business or you have something and you want us to we'll give you a share in the stories, but just message us because we're we don't know who everybody is. So we're not following back people indiscriminately because, you know, it could be somebody who doesn't really want to be followed, and that's fine.
Oh, yeah.
So just send us a message and we'll support it. We want this to be a special community, not a cult, but a community where we get money and we are at the top. We're at the top of the pyramid.
And you listen to everything we say.
And you listen to our podcast. Anyway, Lady Journey.
Lady Journey.